My name is Hannah and I'm from Perth, Western Australia, and I have two auditory brainstem implants, ABIs. The first one on my right was implanted in 2020 and the one on the left in 2021. So I have neurofibromatosis type 2, NF2, and I didn't know that I had it. No one in my family has it. So I got diagnosed on my 29th birthday and it came as a complete shock. I'd been having a little bit of hearing loss, but not enough to have any concern. I'm a teacher, so I just thought, I'm getting sick, there's a bug going around, that type of thing. And then I had to go for an MRI to do with something separate to do with my jaw, and they picked up in the background the brain tumours, and then that started this whole other process of genetic testing, neurologists, ENTs, and then hearing the word for the first time. I had no idea what it was. No one in my family knew what it was, and then being confronted with you're going to lose your hearing, this will take it. So that was really quite a sobering experience. So I did ask the surgeons, the doctors, about what what's the game plan here? And they did mention ABIs, but no one wanted to go into too much detail because it's kind of, that'll happen one day. And when it got to that point, I didn't have too much information. I did a bit of research myself on Google and WebMD, and it's a little bit scary. There wasn't much out there in terms of information, or definitely not in layman's terms. There was lots of really articles and scholarly writing that was above my head. And so I didn't know too much about ABIs. And when I had the surgeries, I didn't get there was no second surgery. There was the surgery to resect the tumour and to implant the ABI. So it all sort of just happened in one go. So the hardest thing I found was the processor. So like when you see the processor on the outside, people always assume it's a cochlear implant. So then they chat to you about it, or they think your hearing's really good because you now have an implant, rather than this is just a tool to try and help me process sound at some level. It's given me sound again. I had thought I would never hear again, and then to be able to hear speech, to be able to sit here and listen to you, to be able to travel the world by myself. I didn't think 2 years ago I'd be able to do this. The world seemed to have closed in, and it was really, really scary, and I felt really alone. I had a great support network, but in a way just felt like I was living in this little jar. I could see everything, but everyone else was making noise and chatting and going about their daily life, and I just had this like little silent dome around me. And then having the ABI just kind of lifted that off. And I know it's not the same as everyone else because I remember what natural hearing was like, but it is so much better. It's just given me back a life that I love. Well, I think it leads in from not being able to access anything for myself. When I found out I needed an ABI, I Googled ABIs and the stuff. There's a lot of things in America I found, and certainly over in Europe, over here, but it was a lot of scholarly articles, and there was definitely no video of someone talking about an ABI. And then I understand that a lot of NF2 people are the people who have ABIs. So it's kind of a two-way thing where I'd love to support people if they're having to face getting an EVI, as well as the people who are often facing that have NF2. So I understand from both sides. It's a really big surgery. It's losing often whatever hearing you have and you're trying to hold on to, really, really, really precious. It's sort of you're having to surrender that and jump into the void and hoping something will catch you. And sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. And I think it's really important to provide people like that an opportunity to answer any questions they might have, not medical, but just from a human perspective of this is what it was for me, and I get where you're coming from, because it's a really big choice, and sometimes it's not even a choice. It's just kind of the card you're dealt.